What's up, Illuminators? It's Charlie and Matthias back, and it's that time of set reveal season for us to look at our tier list, where we're going to rank all of the legendary and super rare cards according to how playable we think they are going to be. So this is the tier list. For those who are new to the channel or maybe just need a quick reminder, we are ranking all the cards here on this 4-tier scale. So S tier are the cards that are going to, in our opinion, be the ones that really shake up the meta. This is your Tamatoa happy as a clam. We ranked him as S tier last set, and I think we've all seen the impact he's had on the meta game. A tier cards are cards that are good, but we don't think they're going to have like a huge meta shakeup when they're released this set. B tier are the cards that we think are really only going to fit into specific decks and kind of lack the general usability across multiple decks, so that's why they're in the B tier. And then the C tier cards are the cards that we don't think are really going to be seeing much competitive play. They're probably going to be the cards that are more confined to our theme decks. You know, that doesn't mean they're bad cards, it just means that they are probably not going to be the ones that shake up the meta that much.
And I think it's very important to say, as Charlie's saying, this is just our take, looking at that, as you all seen, like during the reviews. We never know, we're doing our best guessing those. The good news is we did get some stuff right in the previous sets, right? We literally knew about, well, everyone knew about Tamatoa.
Yeah.
Bell, right, was one of the cards that is not super rare or legendary, and we slot there and tier S. So we're gonna try our best here again, so bear with us. And it's always exciting to revisit those videos 3 months from now and seeing how much of that we got it right. One thing that we did notice is there's nothing that for us strikes straight away as super overpowered card over the other ones.
Yeah, we don't have the likes of a Bell Apprentice Invent. We don't have a Pete Games Referee. We don't have a Tamatoa Happy as a clan. So
which is probably a good thing, to be honest. It shows that the game could be is probably more balanced. Yeah. But again, we could be wrong. We will get there and we'll see.
It's an interesting one. I don't think there are any that are head and shoulders more powerful than the others, but I do think there are a bunch of really powerful cards. So it's going to be fun digging into them. And are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. And we're going to start off with Goofy Groundbreaking Chef. 4-cost inkable, 3-4 questing for 2, and Goofy has the ability plenty to go around. At the end of your turn, you may remove up to 1 damage from each of your other characters. Ready each character, you remove damage from this way. And a very fun ability, a very interesting ability, I think very fitting for a legendary card. It's something we haven't really seen too much on any other card, so I think it definitely fits Goofy. The good things about Goofy are his stats are actually, even without his ability, he's a 4-cost inkable, but he is a 3-4 questing for 2, so really not bad stats at all. His ability is going to trigger the first turn you play him at the end of that turn, so that also means that he can, you know, make an impact as soon as he plays on the board. But I think it's kind of where he fits into, which decks he could fit into. People were starting to build like Amber Steel Bolt decks. Bolt, remember, when he readies, you gain a lot for each other undamaged character you have in play. So being able to ready him with Goofy, whilst at the same time healing all of your other characters, to me feels like a really nice bit of synergy that could be something that works together to make a deck there. But I also think he could, you know, just work in a regular Amber deck in order to just kind of protect your characters. So
yes, of course, it is at the end of the turn. I think a lot of people miss the one term in the description of the ability, right? You could not ready and then do another action like quest or do something. It's at the end of the turn, everything gets ready all together. Okay, so the big question is, well, that's one of my favorite cards. It's Goofy. Donald Duck and Goofy, I just love them. I really want him to be S. He's not S. We know
he's
that.
Definitely not an S tier card. I would be tempted to put him either low A or high B.
Oh, high B, it's so painful.
Yeah, I think because he has decent stats, he does make an impact as soon as he's played. I do see him maybe going into the low A tier as it is.
I'm okay with A if that's where he can be the highest. No, I think you're right. I think you're right on that. And I think a lot of people are asking, can he replace Rapunzel? No way. I think it's so different, right? Because I think there was the hope of having a card like that. He plays completely differently, right? But he's good on its own as well. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's leave it there.
Okay. So next we're going to Chief Bogo, Commanding Officer, 6-cost inkable, 5-5 questing for 1 with the ability sending backup during an opponent's turn. Whenever one of your characters with bodyguard is banished, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card with cost 5 or less, you may play that card for free. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So very much a card that if you want to build a deck around bodyguards, I think you could definitely slot Chief Bogo in. I think the challenges I have with Chief Bogo is, first of all, it's on your opponent's turn, so you don't have as much control over it. Next, it has to be a bodyguard. So again, like unless you're building a deck truly around that around that archetype, that ability. Then it's random, so it's off the top of the deck. Then it has to be a character, and then that character has to cost 5 or less. Like, I compare that to Mufasa, of course, Betrayed Leader, the card that's the people are comparing this to. Mufasa, of course, is anytime he's banished, so you do have a little bit more control over it. He quests for 2, so he's a little bit more of an aggressive threat your opponent needs to deal with, and there's no restriction to what can be flipped off the top.
But it's a one-off, right? I think that's the difference. If you do run a deck that's full of bodyguards, that likelihood of being triggered is more frequent, obviously with all the constraints you said. And I think people did question, right, seeing a card like this, does it mean that it is replacing Mufasa in terms of rotation? It's a completely different card. I wouldn't even question that. But obviously, it might, maybe Mufasa will leave rotation, but I don't think it's the same. I don't think this is a base to anything.
And then the other thing to say about him, of course, can your opponent ever deal with Chibogo before they have to deal with your bodyguards? I think they can. In Steel, we have Along Came Zeus. In Amber, we have World's Greatest Criminal Mind, which are both going to hit him. Ruby has plenty of removals, so because
Sapphire has removals.
Lots of decks have lots of ways to get around the requirement of challenging the bodyguards first. Not every deck, of course. So there are some times where you're going to have to take out the bodyguard before you can take out Bogo, especially in a deck where your opponent's not using any like removal songs or actions. So where does he go? For me, I don't think he's C tier, to be honest. I think he's probably low B tier.
Me too.
Just because, like, I think that bodyguard deck, maybe he's going to see some play, but outside of that, I'm less sure.
I agree.
Cool. So next up, we have our super rares for Amber. This is Donald Duck, Coin Collector. So it's so hard to read the white text on the yellow. He's an 8-cost Inkable, 4-8 questing for 2, and he has 2 abilities. The first one, here Piggy Piggy. For each item named Nephew's Piggy Bank you have in play, you pay 2 less to play this character. And money everywhere. When you play this character, your other characters gain Exert to draw a card this turn. So second ability, really good. Like any way to be able to draw cards, especially in an ink color like Amber, which struggles with card draw a lot of the time, is impactful. The problem is he is an 8-cost. If you get the piggy banks out, then it does, of course, reduce its cost, but the piggy banks are 2-cost uninkables, so you've got to run those in your deck to enable you to be able to get your Donald Duck. So that is the thing that makes me maybe a little bit less sure about him. The fact that it's when you play this character, so if you are able to play him eventually, then all of your characters do get that ability to help you then draw a card. So he's maybe one of the ones I'm most conflicted about this set.
Yeah.
I don't know which deck he fits into, to be honest, right now, which is maybe the most limiting factor of him.
I struggle as well because I feel like even though the second ability is super strong, I don't think as a card it is better than Chief Bogo either. I almost feel like he goes under C, if anything.
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive as well.
He is
obviously
very
the cost will
expensive.
be decreased, but are you actually putting those piggy banks in your deck? Uninkable cards to justify reduce the cost of this card
in order to draw cards.
Draw a card if you have many cards in play.
If you have characters and those characters are dry, so
exactly,
and you're then exerting them so they can be challenged.
I think it's C.
I think so as well. Which is
let's put high C's at the moment.
High C for now.
You can always jiggle around.
But he is a very beautiful card, and actually that is the last card for Amber. Only one super rare card this time around. It's the same kind of format as last time with the dual links.
It is. We got 30 super rare, 15 super rares for dual wing.
Yeah.
So that reduced. And another thing that will happen, as you will notice, starting with Amethyst, is the colors that in last set got super rares in single wing colors. Now they don't.
Yeah.
So previous set you didn't have a super rare in number, so you got now Donald Duck. But in Amethyst you don't have a super rare.
Yeah.
So that's as planned. So let's start. Let's go for Pinocchio.
Yeah, so Pinocchio is the first legendary in Amethyst. Strings attached, 4-cost Inkable, 0-4 questing for 2. He has evasive and has the ability got to keep real quiet. Once during your turn, whenever you ready this character, you may draw a card. So a little bit of extra card draw for Amethyst, but it is conditional on you being able to ready your Pinocchio, which means you have to exert him in the first place. So unless you're exerting him with maybe Peter Pan Shadowfinder, you're rushing him out and challenging the turn you play him.
But if you have exert in the previous turn, isn't like technically when you're ready in the beginning you trigger that ability?
Yes.
You do, right?
Yeah. So I was thinking you could rush him out, and then the next turn he's already your next turn he's going to ready. But then
so you're saying that's the first time you actually trigger the ability is in the next turn.
On the next turn, I was thinking like, is there some synergy there where you could rush him out and challenge? But actually, no, because then he's going to be exerted, and then your opponent can take him out.
Well, he's evasive.
He is evasive, but I feel like every deck has like answers to evasive now. Right now, we're in a very evasive heavy meta.
Yes.
So like every Amethyst deck has evasive cards in it. Every Ruby deck has evasive cards in it. Every Steel deck can ping you with a song. So I just feel like he isn't gonna last long enough to be able to ready and get you that card draw. I think playing something like Genie, Wish Fulfilled, just the fact that he draws a card when you play him.
Yeah.
He's a 2/4.
Quest for 2.
He's uninkable, but I just think Genie is probably the card you would want to play over Pinocchio. I feel like it requires a little bit too much setup in order to be. That
is
really
fair.
good.
That is fair. It is not guaranteed, right? I think he will, in a normal scenario, trigger that once. I think.
Maybe.
but you're right. I think the main difference as well is he's inkable. Obviously, that could make a difference. It's so tricky. It's another one of those cards. I love this card so much. So we're talking about B tier or even C tier.
No, I think B tier just because
the draw and
card draw is always good.
But are we talking about above or under, Chief?
I think above Bogo. I think Bogo, if you're not building a bodyguard deck, you can't play.
You cannot
Bogo.
use it. Yeah, this one you can.
This one you can put in any Amethyst deck. Whether he's the best card in an Amethyst deck, I don't know.
This art is just
so
crazy.
Let's put him in the middle. Yeah, it's beautiful art, and so happy to finally get a Pinocchio
see more of it
in the game. Okay, next beautiful art in Amethyst. This is
and
Bambi.
our first Bambi.
Yeah, first Bambi card and Bambi Little Prince. 3 cost and inkable, 1/1 questing for 3 with 2 abilities. First is Say Hello. When you play this character, gain 1 law. And kind of bashful, when an opponent plays a character, return this character to your hand. So
bashful does that?
Bashful, that's what it says. No, bashful is when
I
you're
thought
shy.
you're comparing to the card bashful.
No, I was reading the ability.
I thought you said he's kind of like bashful.
He's not like bashful.
He's not bashful at all. Okay.
So, really interesting ability on this one. Of course, we know being able to gain 1 law when you play a character is good. We've seen that on the White Rose, a character who is a 3-cost inkable. So Bambi is easier to remove in a challenge because the Rose is a 3/3, but he does quest for 3 if you're able to quest with him. So,
but that's the strategy, really. Sorry to interrupt you. Right, if you can, because as a high quester, the perfect scenario here, you're earning the lore by playing, then you are questing, and then you're punishing your opponent for playing in the next turn, because then he'll go back to your hand. So you're protecting him. It's almost like a way to protect yourself, right?
Yeah, but I think the challenge is you play him on your first turn, he's drying. Now your opponent has an opportunity to play a character to send him back to your hand. So it's whether they care more about like waiting for him to exert and then challenge, or they are happy with him just to keep going back to your hand and preventing that 3 law.
I see what I mean.
So I do think that
But then you're earning the lore.
But then you're
Don't forget that as well, right?
It's
almost like a goat in a way. I know the goats is in and out. It's the sending back to their hand is dictated by your opponent, right? And that's why I really like this card. Is that there's so much thought process, I think, that as an opponent you have to have.
Yeah. So for sure, a deck that doesn't have access to removal, and there are decks that run just characters, this becomes a lot more difficult to deal with because basically, as soon as you play a character, before you can do anything else, he's bounced back to hand. So there is that. The fact that he's only 1 strength means that you could play a character that deals damage, something like Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. The new Dump Truck would deal with Bambi as well before he could be returned to hand. So maybe if people are running more of those in Steel decks.
So is that how it would be? So her effect, Tinkerbell's effect, will put the damage on him.
Yeah, because
because it's your turn, you make the decision of the order.
Exactly, first. Yeah, and even like in a green deck, right, that's putting damage on a counter with like the Queen, for instance, it would banish Bambi as well.
So it's an easy removal, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit. I like right now I don't know where he would fit in, but I do think he has like it's interesting. It's an interesting card for sure. So I don't know. I know you want to say A tier. I don't
think he's A. No.
Okay. So
I think it's B. I'm more thinking where he goes in B.
Yeah, I would put him probably above Pinocchio because
you're
always guaranteed
that 1 law.
Whether that makes him a good card, I don't know. But
I'm not sure. But again, with Pinocchio, it's so hard, right? Of course, Pinocchio is the card drawing part of things that we said, right? But
okay, so let's drop him in B tier. Matthias and I can talk all day and
we'll go
this,
moving around as we see the other ones. But right now, it's there.
So we're going to move on to Emerald next, and this is the Emerald Legendary Rare Infiltration Expert, 6-cost inkable, 5/5 questing for 2, with the ability Unconventional Tactics. Whenever this character quests, you may pay 2 ink to ready another chosen character. Which
you can do that with Pinocchio.
You can do that with Pinocchio, but it still requires Pinocchio to exert first. So yeah, another interesting legendary. So it's definitely, let's get it out of the way, it's not as unplayable as Emerald legendaries have been for quite a few sets. I think definitely that's an ability that does have a lot of impact. The character you ready isn't restricted in any way by not being able to quest or anything, so you can ready a character and quest with them. If you have 2 rares out, you can just keep readying each of them as long as you have ink, because they can do this whenever this character quests. So there's definitely something interesting about this one. I don't know which deck it fits into necessarily right now. I know a lot of people were saying maybe you could pair it with Sapphire, just because, you know, you've got a lot of ink to spare.
Yeah.
You could do something like readying a Mufasa in Sapphire. He has a huge ability that allows you to ready your ink every time he quests. So something like that could be quite a nasty combo.
No, yes, but I don't think it's that hard to... I mean, of course, there's nothing in my head right now that'll say this goes in this deck, but I also feel like the need of readying a character is so relevant in all the decks.
Yeah.
This card I don't think is an issue in terms of finding.
Yeah.
As long as you are feeling confident to play a card like that, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's so late game, right? For me, this is A. I mean, this is A.
Yeah, I
It
think
has to
so.
be
I
A,
think so.
Just because it's a good card overall, I think, even though it's expensive.
I'll be interested. Like, I think it's a good card. Whether it actually sees much play, I'm a little bit less convinced about. I don't think she's going that high though.
You don't think she is?
Like him?
No, you can put just beforehand, but you don't think she's better than Goofy?
I think Goofy is cheaper with better stats. I think.
So let's put her behind.
No,
But you're right, because people could play Goofy just to have a card that has that stats and quest for 2.
Yeah.
Versus her that is so specific. You play her because you want to use that ability.
And she has to wait a turn, right? She has to.
Goofy is just there. So yeah, you're right.
So that would be the only reason I would put him above. Next is the other legendary for Emerald. This is Rapunzel High Climber, 5 quest inkable, 2/5 questing for 2. Evasive with the ability wrapped up whenever this character quests. Chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn.
I think that's quite a nice ability as well.
Yeah, it's something that we know Emerald wants to do, which is disrupt your opponent. As an evasive, hopefully she's going to be able to get that ability off a few times if your opponent doesn't have any removal or an evasive character to deal with her. But I don't know. I feel like this ability, we've seen it on other cards that never see play. I don't know which deck necessarily she would fit into. I don't know.
But was it the same combo?
Not,
is it like the same high quester or mid quester evasive?
No, exactly. But still, it's like, which deck does she slot into? Do you put her in an Emerald Steel deck? I don't think so, because you don't really care about your opponent's characters questing because you're removing them. Do you put her in an Emerald Amethyst deck? Again, I don't think so. Emerald Amber, I don't think so. So I've just like, the ability's okay. I wouldn't expect. I think it would be on a different character, like on a rare card rather than a legendary card. But maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I actually don't know. And I don't know where she goes either, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, is she better than Raya? I feel like the relevance of reading is higher than stopping someone else from questing.
Yes, I would.
You can do so much.
I would agree with
you're
that.
Ready, right?
Yeah.
You can quest yourself, you can challenge again, there are things you can do. Versus stopping someone to quest, you need to also have a target to do that effect, right? So I think she's under Raya in that aspect, if we think just like that as Emerald legendaries, right?
Yeah.
She's evasive though. I think it can make a big difference.
Yeah, but she also has to survive a turn in order for you to get the.
But also does Raya.
Yeah, right? yeah.
So do you think it's B or A? It's not under B. We're not.
No. I think it's B. I want to put it below Bambi, to be honest. And I'm also thinking like maybe Bambi isn't as bad as I thought.
I don't think Bambi.
Just because he has like it's an on-play ability.
Is it draw that we said?
No, draw is Pinocchio. Bambi is gain the law.
Gain the law and go back to your hand, right? Yeah. We can move this around. We're starting, right? We're getting to see them together. I think it's just the reality of.
I feel like Bambi goes a bit.
Okay, let's do that.
I'm talking myself out of it.
We'll go back again later.
Yeah. So we're gonna look at the super rare for Emerald. This is Flynn Rider breaking and entering 4 cost and inkable 1/4 questing for 3 with the ability. This is a very big day. Whenever this character is challenged, the challenging player may choose and discard a card. If they don't, you gain 2 law. So that is actually for me a lot more of an interesting ability. It's putting pressure on your opponent in 2 different ways. Like A is the discard pressure. So if you're playing a discard deck, then this is a great way to kind of apply more pressure through that. But also it has that relevance of the law as well. If your opponent doesn't discard the card, then you're gaining the law. So they kind of have a difficult decision to make, I think, in a lot of cases. So I do think he slots in nicely, to a discard deck for sure. I don't think you would play him in a non-discard deck. Probably, I think. Well, maybe. I
mean, you're putting the decision on player side, right? But there's always a win on your side.
Yeah.
They're running out of cards, and if they don't have cards, they have to give you the Chular forcibly. So that's really cool. I almost feel like I'm just overthinking things that has nothing related to anything. But if this card was Ward, I think this would have been a legendary. For example.
Yes.
Because obviously it's just when he's challenged that the effect is taken place. So he can be removed in different ways. The effect's not triggered. So he's less relevant at the point, and he's uninkable.
Yeah.
But for what he is, because he's not Ward, he's not. He only have to be challenged. Where does it go? I think he's better than Rapunzel.
I think he's better than Rapunzel. Yeah.
I think he might be better than Bambi.
Better than Rhea.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I actually think he's better than most of those.
Better than Goofy?
I don't know.
I'm struggling. I don't think I've ever struggled so much with cards before because it's like it has so much potential.
Yes, but then again, how do we play that?
Yeah,
because he's so easy to be removed without being challenged.
He is, yeah.
Right, so he might never be challenged.
Yeah.
People will see him and they will just hold back to their removals.
Yeah, but not every deck has removal.
No,
but that's like.
But that's turn 4 as well. It's late.
Uninkable.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for 3. I think he goes. Oh my god. It's so hard.
High B or low A?
Well, if we put him in high B, is he worse than Bambi?
I think Bambi you get a
lore. You get a lore for free for sure as you play, right?
Yeah.
Let's put him in high B right now. Yeah. It's
Okay.
so hard. You should comment. I wish we were doing this live so
I know,
we could see
we
your
should.
opinion and change this. We never had struggle, I think, personally, as much as we did for this set. Like I said, it's so ambiguous, some of those things.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I actually think that's a really healthy thing.
Yeah.
But I like being right as well. So it's a big struggle.
Okay, I think we might have an easier time with Ruby legendaries.
Oh, it's always horrible. So that's usually the case.
They got one Maui Half Shark and that's it.
But then never again.
So we have Tinkerbell in System Fairy, a 2-cost Inkable, 1/1, questing for 1, evasive, with the ability pay attention. Whenever you play a character with 5 strength or more, you may exert them to gain 2 law.
There's a lot of combos, right? We heard online.
Yeah, there's a lot of combos. So like Lumiere, for instance, with his static ability, giving characters +1 strength. If you played a 4 strength character with Lumiere and Tinkerbell on the board, you could exert them to gain the 2 law. But I just feel like, well, first of all, there aren't many 5 strength characters early in the game outside of colors that aren't Ruby. So, I mean, obviously,
but she wouldn't be an early game play.
But
right?
that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like. It's a card you hold on to until later game until you are able to start dropping characters. Like obviously, if you want to, rely mostly on Ruby cards for the strength, and you use the other ink pairing for something else, like maybe removal, so that you can just be setting up that win condition, then maybe. But I just feel like there are just not a lot of cards early game, so she becomes a late game card. And then even then, are you just playing like high strength characters just to get the 2 law for ability? I feel like there are probably more efficient ways that you could be getting law than
you really have to combo with Maximus, right? We're talking about Fling Rider or whatever, or all those different conditions.
Like I know,
but that's a combo at that point.
There's a lot of strength matters cards, and it's just like, is Tinkerbell the thing to kind of galvanize everything around that archetype? And
it's interesting. It's good that they are doing things around it, right? But as it is,
I almost feel like, because it's like Weight Set, right? Weight Set is a 4-cost character, a 4 strength character. When you play it, you draw a card, and I feel like an effect like that is better than gaining the 2 law. Like I think there are other ways you could gain law again without relying on a combo piece, because you always need Tinkerbell and something with 5 strength.
But wasn't that what people were saying, that she could fit in a Ruby Steel type of deck?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
She could go around with the whole Mulan's things, right? The synergy. Queen of Hearts, imagine it's easy to get more damage, more strength out of that as well. But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she's B.
I think she's definitely B.
I don't think she's C.
I don't think she's C, no.
And I think she's above Chief Bogo.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. I think somewhere in the middle of the B tier. I think she's maybe not the greatest. Yeah. So the next legendary card we have for Ruby is Lilo, causing an uproar, 5-cost Inkable, 4/4 questing for 2. First ability is Stomping Time. During your turn, if you've played 3 or more actions this turn, you may play this character for free. And Raw. When you play this character, already chosen character, they can't quest for the rest of the turn. So I think one thing we've noted in this game, one thing we see every single set, is that anytime you can play something for free, it becomes really powerful. We saw that with Belle. We saw that with Scrooge McDuck. We know that that's really something you want to be setting up. But the question is it achievable to be able to play your 3 actions this turn? I think if you combo her in a Maui Half Shark deck and you're running a lot of low cost actions, which are going to be, working on your Maui Half Shark win condition of gaining lore through actions, and maybe, if you sing with a character and then you play like Develop Your Brain and you play something else low cost, then now you can play Lilo for free.
I think we discussed when we're doing the card review, right, of this card. We were talking about as when you pair it with Amethyst, right, and there are so many low cost burn type of cards, right? Gathering Knowledge, Wisdom, and other cards like that. And in this scenario, sometimes we do use back-to-back at least 2 actions, right, that you're holding in your hand. But again, it's so hard to make that happen, right? It's just so unique cases to just fight to the point of that.
I think you really, really do need to pair it with an ink pairing or a card that can bring those actions back. Because, if you want to play Lilo for free, you need to be having a lot of actions to be able to do it consistently. Of course, if you have 4 Lilos in your hands and you're able to do the 3 actions in a single turn, then you can throw all of your Lilos onto the board. But really, for consistency, it has to be a very action heavy deck. So what it pairs with, maybe Emerald, maybe like the Ruby Emerald action deck with Robin Hood, maybe a Ruby Amethyst with Maui Half Shark.
I think it's the Half Shark is the closest to that, which again is the strong deck. So maybe it is the answer. Maybe the people will find ways. In terms of placement, I do think she's a B, and I do think she's over Tinkerbell. I do think people find more uses for her than Tinkerbell.
I think because of the fact she says free, I would probably put her at the top of the B tier right now.
Really, even above everyone else. Okay.
It's just free. People will find a way to play this card for free. The challenge is really just going to be, if you can do it consistently. And of course, she has that second ability. She can ready a character, so
they can't do anything after that. But yes,
well, they can challenge.
Yeah. I wish it was on questing. When you quest, you can ready a character.
I mean, we'll see. So let us move over to Sapphire, and the first card is the Sapphire Legendary Stitch, Experiment 626, 3 cost and inkable, 3/3, questing for 2. With 2 abilities, the first one is So Naughty. When you play this character, each opponent puts the top card of their deck into their inkwell face down and exerted, and Stealth Mode. At the start of your turn, if this card is in your discard, you may choose and discard a card with the inkwell symbol to play this character for free, and he enters play exerted. So first time we're really seeing anything like this, the kind of a card that is essentially helping your opponent accelerate ink, theoretically just because he is a good card, and the fact that he is never stays banished if you want can be a good thing, but I just feel like his stats maybe don't warrant it. I think that secondary ability of being able to play him from your discard also doesn't really warrant it, because if you're letting your opponent ink every single time you play this character, and it's ink they're going to be able to use on their next turn, I struggle with this one a lot. It's a card I want to love, like I do find it really interesting, but I just don't know how and where you
and even the synergies, right, we were discussing about with Lilo, etc. That doesn't work either. Escape Artist, sorry. So how to? But some people are saying that is a good card. I'm really struggling. I find interesting the first ability is So Naughty, because what's the point of saying that it is inkwell face down and exerted if it is on the opponent's turn anyway? It's not the opponent's turn, it's his turn, unless it's to protect for a future mechanic.
I think so, because if you got him off the top with a Chief Bogo, for instance, then it would still, he'd still enter play. Your opponent would still put the card into the inkwell, but it would enter it exerted. But that's like the only very niche scenario. I think what would make him better is if the first ability was, it only does the ink if you play him from the discard. Like, it's not the first time you play him, because I think that already just puts you at a disadvantage. And then it's just, I don't know. I'm really hoping someone builds something like fantastic around this card, because right now my brain can't even comprehend potential combos. Like, the only one I could think is maybe with Ink Geyser. In that case, you don't care that your opponent's getting loads of ink, because you're just going to
that is true.
To shoot it back to their hand. But
then would you be playing a Stitch in a deck?
But then exactly. So I really like him. But I don't know where to put him. I think we'll be shot down if we put him in the C tier.
No.
But I want to put him maybe above Bogo.
I think I feel so bad for Bogle because I didn't think he was that bad, but but I don't even know why he would go there.
Yeah.
Like, why would I use this card? I actually don't understand. I'm gonna be very like.
You don't play
critical.
Sapphire, yeah?
No, I know I don't play Sapphire, so don't listen to
still-
me.
but
But
still,
I'm
yeah.
talking about Lilo Escape Artist.
Yeah.
I know that's a completely different card. But any card that you do the decision at the start of your turn, it puts so much pressure on you as well.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is a good thing. But like I feel like this card comes with so many decisions that you have to make.
Yeah.
You're ramping your opponent. You have to decide before you draw the card. Then once you draw, are you doing that? It's just...
Sapphire players like thinking, though. They like
I know,
maths,
they're
but
smart. Maybe that's it.
I don't know. I mean, I can put it here, but it breaks my heart putting Stitch and Seeds here.
I know. I think we're gonna be wrong though. I don't
Yeah.
think we'll be C.
I honestly hope I'm wrong on this
Living
one.
B, Living B.
Leaving B or
Yeah.
Bogle?
Just because.
Okay,
Yeah.
just because. So the next card for us in Sapphire is Ratigan Greedy Genius, 8-cost Inkable, 6/7, questing for 4, with Ward, and with the ability, time runs out at the end of your turn. If you didn't put any cards into your inkwell this turn, banish this character. This one, for me, really interesting. We know how powerful Ward is. In a metagame right now that has so much removal, so many different ways to remove characters. Being able to drop a character with Ward that can't be targeted with removal, can't have the strength reduced, all of that good stuff means he is going to stick on the board in most cases. Of course, you can get around him with something like Madame Medusa, but if you're playing a card like this, I think you are going to expect that, and you're not going to play him without maybe putting another character on the board first. After that, great stats, like he quests for 4. So for me, he really is like a game closer in Sapphire that your opponent just has to answer. And if they don't, then you're going to be basically questing for a lot with this guy. And even his stats, right? You can't remove him with a song, so you're going to have to challenge into him to get him off the board. I don't see that secondary ability as a downside necessarily. Sapphire is always going to ramp.
You're never gonna have a problem.
Yeah, like you've always got different ways you can do it without necessarily sacrificing card advantage. Of course, like something like the Great Stone Dragon, you can just keep using that. I think is probably the perfect combo, because then you're basically inking from your discard pile at that point. So I do like this one. I do think he can fit into a bunch of different Sapphire decks. And great synergy with the Lucky Dime. I think he replaces Aerial. The
Collective?
the 6-cost Inkable Aerial. So I am maybe a little bit more excited about this one. I don't think he's S tier right now.
Really? Okay, that's what I was wondering. Of course, he's 8-cost, but you can play him way earlier, right? Because we're talking about Sapphire.
And as a game
That's
closer,
interesting that I
it's
don't
fine.
think he's S.
I don't think he's going to shake up the meta in any great way. Like, I think he's a good card that's going to see play in some Sapphire decks, but right now, I don't think he's going to break the meta in the way we saw something with like Tamatoa.
Oh no, he's not a
Zappa,
Tamatoa. That's why we're even questioning, right? Because clearly he's not a Tamatoa, but it's so hard to remove him.
It is, yeah.
And he's a bomb.
It is, but
even like as a card to deal with locations that are coming into play. Right?
Yeah.
There's so many things to use here. Yeah. But okay, yeah, let's put. So he's the highest card so far. We're saying that, but we don't think it's a meta breaking.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I think no. Well, we'll see. No spoilers. We'll see.
And then the final.
Oh, actually, okay, no, this might be meta breaking.
We'll see, because
Let's talk about it.
The next card in Sapphire is down in New Orleans. This is 6-cost Inkable Song. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character, item, or location card with cost 6 or less, and play it for free. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Again, another example of a card that lets you do something for free, which is always incredibly powerful. So the downside is that it's because it's the top 3 cards of your deck, there is that randomness to it. You need to build a deck that has this high concentration of characters you might want to be able to play, probably sacrificing some of the early lower cost characters. So probably it's going to make more sense in a control deck. So I do think this is a song that could fit into Ruby Sapphire control as it is, but it's going to be, again, consistency. Are you able to consistently play something good off the top? And if you are, is that going to be impactful enough? So I think you could pair it with things like the Kida, who can exert, and then look at the top 2 cards, and one in the inkwell, one stays on the top, and then you could sing this song and you have a better chance of knowing what one of those cards is going to be. Again, I don't think it's going to break the meta. I just think I think it's a good song that fits nicely.
Who is singing in Sapphire?
Maui Half Shark.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could sing it with Maui Half Shark, flip something good off the top, and then get it back with the Maui Half Shark as well. So I do think it's a good one. I do think it fits into decks that already exist, so I'm tempted to put it higher tier.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, is he higher than Ratigan that we just discussed? Because Ratigan is more consistent, right?
He is more consistent. That's true. I would put let's put it below Ratigan. And the other thing I should say is, like, I spoke very much about Ruby decks using this. It does also pair with Amber. So because it's a 6-cost song, you can sing it with Prince Naveen, who's pictured in the art of this, and I think that could be a really powerful play. But
and you can sing for free, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can play it for free, but then of course it's Amber Sapphire, which is not the most powerful ink pairing as it is. So we'll see. It is one that I want to watch. Again, playing for free, very powerful in Lorcana.
And I'm still hoping that we see this as an enchanted. I don't know. My hopes are almost over.
Maybe
now,
by the time we finish recording this,
probably
video,
out there. Just let us know. Yeah, that was 60-31 on Friday.
So next we're going to move over to Steel, and we have Namari, single-minded rival, 5-cost inkable, 0/5 questing for 2. She has 2 abilities. The first one is Strategic Edge. When you play this character and at the start of your turn, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. And Extreme Focus, this character gets +1 strength for each card in your discard. So very fun one, interesting one. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this.
No. Wow. The first thing for me is it is an Amari that I feel excited to play, because I think there were good Amaris before, but we could never see play with her. I think this could potentially. It's worth saying that because of the ability of when you play, you're already putting a card in your discard. She will always come already as 1/5. In its minimum form, right? There's a 1/5 there.
Yeah, and by turn 5, you can probably expect to have more cards in your discard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Already.
So she can be a bomb, and obviously she can be as strong as your deck has a number of cards, really, at the end of the day, right? So that's very unique type. It is, effect, right?
It's a May ability, so you can choose not to activate the ability, but if you do choose, it's going to help you filter through your deck. There are definitely Steel decks that want to be kind of filtering and looking for the answers. Maybe.
Yeah, I haven't heard many people commenting about it. I think they're sleeping on it, personally.
Yeah.
I personally think she has so much potential, unless I'm missing something here.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like, okay, she can become crazy. She could become a 20 strength, 5 willpower character, but then
the willpower is not changing, right?
That's the willpower is not changing. Yeah, like what is it achieving? Having a 20 strength character, it makes her susceptible to some of Amber's removal that cares about high strength. Yeah, she can be taken down by Zeus, but she is a good card into Ruby matchups. So I think
if she was a 5/5 questing for 2, would she be good? For example, right? If you think like that as well, right? As no abilities, just 5/5 2. Yes, I think she would be good.
Yeah, she'd be okay. She'd be she'd be a 5-cost inkable if she was there, so it's about the same.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I think because I struggle to see which deck she would go into, I'm tempted to put her below the 2 Sapphire cards, but
that's what I mean. I think she's better than Goofy.
I think she's better than Goofy. Yeah. So okay, so we agree. So she belongs down here.
But I also feel like Goofy's so good.
Okay, so next up we have the other legendary for Steel. We have Mickey Mouse, a Giant Mouse, a 10-cost inkable, uninkable, sorry, that is important. 10-cost uninkable, 10/10, questing for 5 with Bodyguard and the biggest star ever. When this character is banished, deal 5 damage to each opposing character, which is essentially a board wipe. Yeah. But
we talked about that.
We talked a lot about it.
For me, I can only think on Bagheera. So last set I know that is very different, but last set I was so excited about Bagheera Legendary because of that board wipe, even though it's a different type of board wipe. I never made that happen. I probably made it once, and it felt so good when it did, but probably once. Here we're talking about a 10 uninkable cost. Obviously, we got another Mickey the previous set that would allow you to play that, right?
Yeah, if you banish a character with him, but he's a 1/1, right?
Well, so you have to literally go against an aggro deck and then banish that. Then you could play this one for free. Then you think about that. Yeah. That early, imagine turn 2 or turn 3.
Yeah, there are a few ways to play characters for free. We have the Return of Hercules, we have the Hades, we have Mufasa if he sticks around in the metagame. But all of that requires that setup, so you really need that character. I mean, maybe in a Sapphire Steel deck where you're looking to accelerate your ink to those high numbers, you might include him as like a 1 of or a 2 of. But I think right now there are ways to counter him without banishing him. You can let it go, you can Mother Knows Best, all of those things. So I do like the concept of him. I do think it's a really interesting and strong card. It's just you have to build around it. That's the main thing. I don't think you're slotting this into just any deck. That 10 cost unink ability makes him very difficult unless you're pairing him with Sapphire and you can maybe ink him.
It is crazy though that he quests for 5 if you think about it, because as a bodyguard you can just keep questing, right? Because then you're defending or protecting your other characters, right? And then if they defeat you, you then do the board wipe. So it's super cool.
I think if you can get him into play and he sticks around for a turn, you win the game.
Oh, that's
the power of him. It's just,
but no one ever makes those Mickey work.
Yeah,
right?
they
That's
don't.
the crazy thing. I feel like why someone out there, please, someone professional, make those things work.
So I'm tempted to put him either low A tier because of the upside or high B tier. I don't know.
I think we need to analyze, because for example, I see a more consistent result with Fling Rider, for example. Which is a B-tier,
that's
if you
true.
think about like that. But I also feel like there are cards that we pick on A tier that is not that much far from Mickey. So that's the tricky part. But I think he will go under Fling Rider, personally.
Okay.
Yeah. I still think Fling Rider is probably better than Lilo, but that's another conversation.
Okay. So before we go to the next ink pairing, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsors of today's video, Heavy Play. Heavy Play have their Equip Mag system, which allows you to connect your deck box to your dice box and your play mat, all with the power of magnets. It makes it super easy to switch between tables when you play. They also have their curved sleeves with curved corners. It means you'll never have a card upside down in your deck again. If you want to get your hands on any Heavy Play product, you can visit them at heavyplay.com and use the discount code Inkborn10 for 10% off your whole order. And then we're going to go over to all of the super rare dual ink cards, and we're starting off with the Amber Amethyst dual ink. Sorry, I almost said dual red dual ink. Bruno Madrigal, Singing Sierra, 7 cost inkable, 3/7, questing for 2, Floodborn. So we're shifting at 5, and actually, first Floodborn character we're seeing. That's crazy.
Oh wow, yes, that is true.
Yeah. So Floodborn, and he has the ability Bright Future. Whenever this character sings a song, you may draw a card for each character you have in play. So card draw, very powerful. We know that. Like, everyone wants to be drawing cards. If you're able to develop a wide board and then sing a song with him, you can draw quite a few cards. If you're able to ready him and sing twice, you're drawing a lot. It's just really going to be, is there a good shift target for Bruno that you might want to play? I mean, there are some reasonably okay Brunos, but maybe you would want their effect. You wouldn't want to replace them with this Floodborn, especially just to draw some cards. And I think in this ink pairing as well, like, how often by turn 5 are you able to really have that wide of a board? A lot of decks are able to like smash down your characters. You're kind of approaching a be prepared, so you don't necessarily want to be kind of building too big of a board. And then do you want to take off that turn, at least with Bruno, to sing a song?
Yeah. No, I think he is a gimmicky for the Madrigal deck, right? I think that's simply what it is, which is fair as well. But you're right, like, he's so close to a be prepared that you're taking such a big risk at that point. You are drawing cards though.
Yeah,
so
you are drawing cards. You could draw lots of cards. Like, if you have like a bunch of 1-drops all just ready to go, then you sing with him and draw a lot of cards. Maybe it protects you from the be prepared.
It would be
because
cool
you can just follow up with a bunch of characters.
That is true. It would be cool if it was any character singing, right? Not just him.
Yeah.
Ching, ching. Okay, so where we're putting him?
I think you're right. I think he is quite gimmicky. Maybe low B tier somewhere.
Yeah, or even C, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like card draw is good.
Okay.
Card draw is good. He can do it the turn he comes into play if you have a Bruno and you have a song.
Oh yeah, of course, because you can shift. So you can get in that turn.
So I would say maybe above Stitch.
Yeah, that's that.
Oh, he's going behind. Oh no, we're gonna have to move some stuff around. I just tidied this up as well.
There we go.
Okay. We'll move on to the next card.
Okay, so this is a good card.
This is, spoiler, probably the card I'm the most interested in discussing. This is a Tramp, Dapper Rascal.
Also known as the handsome dog.
He's so handsome. 6 cost inkable, 2/8, questing for 2. Also Floodborn, so he'll shift in at 4. With the ability Play It Cool. During an opponent's turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, you may draw a card. We've seen this set, Churner Dogs, the Amber Emerald deck, doing quite well. One of the struggles it currently has is card draw, and Tramp is potentially that missing piece for a deck like that. Yes, he can be removed and then your opponent can deal with your other characters, but you're still getting a card at least from Tramp being removed. But I think what it does is it puts your opponent into kind of a tricky position. If you drop Tramp before a Be Prepared turn against a Ruby deck, then now your opponent has to decide, do I deal with Tramp and take a turn off and delay my Be Prepared, or do I let my opponent draw a load of cards? in this Chernodog's deck, you can set up a very, very, very wide board. And then if it does get banished, you care less if you're then drawing a bunch of cards. So I think in that sense, it's really good. After that, he is a 2/8. Like, 8 willpower, very difficult to remove if you're not playing a Ruby deck.
And he's questing for 2.
And he's questing for 2.
And he's inkable.
And he's inkable. So he has a lot going for him. So
it's interesting that he is banished as well. We're not talking about just in a challenge. We're talking about any form of managing.
Exactly.
Banishing,
Yeah.
On the opponent's turn, right?
Yeah.
So I would say he's better than a lot of the legendaries for sure. For me, he's above an Amari.
Oh, for me, I'm putting him in S tier. I don't know if that was clear.
No. I want him to be S, but do you think he's meta breaking? Because that's S. Is he meta breaking? Maybe he's meta breaking for that deck.
Yeah, but I think other decks will have to run answers to him.
Okay.
And because of that, I think it could have the potential to warp the meta. I even think, even in a non-Chernodog deck, even in something like an Amber Emerald, like Under the Sea deck, he could see play there as well. He can sing Under the Sea, along with another character. He also protects those characters as well. So
let's do it. Let's put do one card in this.
I'll put him
in the high.
I'll put him in the middle. He's all alone at the moment. But yeah, I think this card's really an interesting one. It's one to watch.
I really want to hear your opinion. Honestly, I'm not just saying, "Oops, I smashed the microphone." Smash your opinion in the comment section and let us know what you're thinking about
Mateus. Next, we're going over to Wreck-It Ralph Big Lug. Is that
yes,
what it says? Big Lug.
I still don't know what it means. What is Big Lug?
I think it's like an idiot. It's a very American expression.
Okay, there you go.
We're not American or Canadian. We're English and Brazilian.
Yeah, okay.
7 cost an Inkable, Jewel Ink, Amber Ruby, 7/5, questing for 1. Also Floodbond. Are all of the Jewel Ink cards Floodbond? And we just
didn't find out. All the super rare, maybe.
Yeah, we didn't notice the connection. So yeah, he'll shift in at 5 and has the ability back on track, or when you play as a character and whenever he quests, you may return a racer character card with 6 cost or less from your discard to your hand if you do gain 1 more. So an example of a card that literally is fitting in a single deck. Maybe someone will build an Amber Ruby deck that has a few racers in it, and this can be another way to generate lore. But I think his stat line isn't the greatest. Like, he's only questing for 1. Of course, you do get the ability on play, but then once you've played him, he's just kind of. He is gonna hit like a truck, like a big lug. But I think after that, it's a little bit limited as to what decks this can really.
And it's coming to your hand. That's the thing as well. You don't even play the card for free.
Yeah, if you played it for free, I still think it wouldn't be the best card,
exactly,
but
that's what I mean.
at least it would be a little bit better than I think it is.
It's not a game closer either. I don't think there's enough for you to, because you're getting
it's
lore,
one
but
lore,
you're doing 1 per turn. Really, it's the same as questing at that point. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So C tier, yeah.
It has to be right.
Worse than Donald Duck?
I don't even remember what the Donald Duck does.
It draws cards. I think, because of that, worse than Donald Duck.
Okay.
So let's put him a little bit lower. Cool. And then we're going over to the other card I'm really excited to discuss. And spoiler alert, she's going in the C tier. But this is Perdita, Determined Mother, 6 cost Inkable, 4/6, questing for 2. Floodborn.
Quest for 2.
So she can shift in at 4. But I was just meaning they're all going to be Floodborn, and we just didn't make the connection.
We'll find out.
So, and she has the ability, Quick Everyone Hide. When you play this character, you may put all puppy character cards from your discard into your Inkwell face down and exerted. So if you're playing a puppy deck, a fantastic card. It synergizes super, super well with Pongo, who allows you to play puppy cards from your discard pile. So these cards just go together so, so well. I've been having so much fun playing puppy deck at League, but it's not competitively viable. It's not shaking up the meta.
Not yet.
As good as the ability is, it can be played in one deck and one deck only, and that is a puppy deck. So I think because of that, that is the limiting factor on Perdita, which is a shame. Like I prefer the Jewel Ink cards that are kind of, you could put it into any deck. Yeah. I think those ones are a lot nicer.
Any
like
of the two colors.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yes.
Like Tramp, he can fit into more than just that one deck.
Yes.
So
Perdita is the dog on the other end of Trump.
Yeah,
she's the highest C though, of course.
Well, she's the highest C, and I think she has the best ability. But I think Donald Duck can go into any Amber deck.
I see, and is also there's drawing.
You might not want to put Donald Duck into any Amber deck, but at least he's not limited.
Such a late card as well.
Yeah. So.
But anyway.
Okay, you ready for another Floodborn? We have Rhino. Power Hamster, Focused Inkable, 4/3, questing for 2. Shifts in at 2 because he's a Floodborn. With the ability Epic Ball of Awesome. While this character has no damage, he gains resist +2.
So that is a good card. I'm actually excited for people that plays that combination, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of
It's a
potential
good
in this
ability,
card.
yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah, like your opponent has to hit him for at least
he's
3.
strong.
At least 3 to be able to do 1 damage to him.
While he has no damage.
Whilst he has no damage. And then after that, he can, of course, start he will lose that resist.
And that's what is cool as well, because if you're synergizing with Rapunzel, it doesn't mean that... Because it's got to be so hard to heal with Rapunzel, but it's in the beginning. So late game, he gets to be Rapunzeled as well.
And you can also use him as, like, you could challenge a character with maybe 4 strength. You're going to take 2 damage in the challenge, but then you heal with Rapunzel. You can heal him with Goofy to give him his resist back. Synergize as well with Bolt in that case if he doesn't have the damage on him. So I do actually think this one has like quite a lot of like interesting potential. I think stats are pretty good as well. So
do we have a shift target that is worth having? That's the problem.
I believe so. Like, of course, you've got to run that shift target. It's got to be
Rhino
included in the deck. It's got to be Rhino.
Rhino. I know we have Rhinos. I just don't know if people are running the baby one.
Yeah, well, the baby one I think just came in this set, so it's I think that maybe is what's going to hold it back a little bit, because you've got to run both of those, and does the deck really want to be doing that? But I do think he's decent. I think probably high B tier.
Really? Oh wow, yeah.
Where were you gonna put him?
No. I think it's fair, but again, I don't think he is as good if there isn't a second Rhino.
Yeah, but
if we look at this card on its own, there's not enough Rhinos to justify him.
But even if you don't shift, I don't think he's the worst card in the world.
Suppose Inkable,
yeah. So I'll be comfortable putting him
here.
That's
cool. In front of my beautiful Fling Ride.
Do you?
It's fine. I don't know. You know more than me.
I'm just guessing here. So.
You are a Steel player,
okay.
Steel Song player. Would you use that in your Steel Song deck?
Not in a Steel Song deck, no. But I think it's different. But okay, so our theory was proved incorrect. We have a non-Floodborn super rare in the dual ink colors, and this is Hades Ruthless Tyrant, 7-cost inkable, 3/6, questing for 2 with the ability Short on Patience. When you play this character and whenever he quests, you may deal 2 damage to another chosen character of yours to draw 2 cards. Actually, really good ability, and again, another card drawing ability, very powerful. We do have a lot of cards in Ruby specifically that if you put damage on them, then they become more powerful. So that is one potential way you can do it. We also have cards in Amethyst that can remove damage. So you could quest with Hades, put damage onto a character, and then move that damage onto another character. Of course, that is more of a combo because you need like 3 cards in that case. But I am interested in this one. I think the main thing that is probably going to limit him is 7-cost uninkable in a color that doesn't really have ways to accelerate ink. But
yeah, that's the biggest problem. Obviously, we have a lot of big butts on Ruby, right? So there's a lot of targets that you can put that damage on. And we also got introduced to Monster, right? If I'm not wrong, he has big willpower.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
it does have a lot.
It's the ninkability. It is the ninkability and the late game, right? How fast can you get to that point? Like, would you even care at that point after you already could have been prepared and I mean, you're drawing cards, so obviously you always care.
Yeah, exactly, cards, and it's nice you get it when you play him and when he quests.
Yeah,
but
that is true. It's an on playability.
So as long as you have a character on board, you're guaranteed that lock. Because like you could put a 1-cost Diablo that when he's banished, you draw a card. You could play him and then follow up immediately with Hades. Banish him, draw 3 cards. That's not a bad trade.
No,
and you could pair it with the library, I guess. Put a character in the library, banish the character in the library, and draw 3 cards as well. So
hard.
This is a tricky one. I think he probably belongs in the same realm as Rhino, to be honest. I don't see him slotting into just any Ruby Amethyst deck.
But that's the thing. I don't know where he would go either. I don't know if he's better than Flynn or Lilo or all those characters. But
it's hard to say no to 2 free cards. But yeah, it is too late. Yeah,
and uninkable.
Next up, we have Yzma on the Edge, 6-cost, uninkable, 3/6 questing for 2 with. Why do we even have that lever? When you play this character, if you have a card, named Pull Lever in your discard, you may search your deck for a card named Wrong Lever and reveal that card to all players. Put that card into your hand and shuffle your deck.
Okay, see,
yeah.
Well, it's extremely specific. Like, it couldn't be more specific.
It's a 12-card combo in a 60-card deck. That's 20%, I think, if my maths isn't wrong. So you are dedicating a lot of your deck to this combo.
And it's uninkable.
Uninkable, yeah.
Late game. It's not Floodborn. It's just...
It's really fun. Like, I would love to try out a deck.
Oh, no. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So excited to play Emperor's New Groove with all those new cards. Like, all the levers. It's so cool, the gameplay. If you can see our comments when
Yeah.
it first got revealed, right, and we shown in the video. Fantastic. I love the gameplay behind it. I love the art. I love everything about it. But it's so specific.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
couldn't. I think the only thing that can get more specific than that is the puppy deck.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's even
Yeah.
more specific than the Racers deck.
Okay, wow.
Is it not?
No, I'm with you. I'm with
Yeah.
you if that's how you feel.
I don't know. No, I'm not saying that I should be behind the racer. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it is, I think, even more specific.
It is specific, but here's the thing. I think you can put that package of 12 cards, into any Amethyst Emerald deck, and because of that, I think
But would people put those for that result?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I think just by
Just
the
put it,
by the
fair.
virtue of it being
To think like that, yeah, there is more decks that could fit it. It's just that I cannot see someone at the moment putting 12 cards.
Yeah, I know.
Just to play that.
Yeah.
But
So okay.
we'll see.
And then next, we're going to move over to Jafar, High Sultan of Lorcana, 5 cost, an Inkborn 4/4 questing for 3, with the ability Dark Power. Whenever this character quests, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. If an illusion character card is discarded this way, you may play that character for free. So we did see a bunch of illusions getting introduced into the previous set. Some of those seeing play. Giant Cobra is a very playable card. Iago, a card that's seeing a lot of play as well. And we've seen a bunch of new ones. I think some of them might see play as well.
That was the new Sultan as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That was some cool synergies.
So the question is a illusion deck what you want to be building? Of course, you can pair it with some other of the really great cards in Amethyst and Steel, but to make this card really sing, you do need to have kind of a high concentration of illusions in your deck. It is when he quests, so that means you're not going to get the ability right away, but you are going to potentially get to play something for free. He is going to quest for 3 each time if he survives long enough. So, an interesting one. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. Yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts, Matthias?
For me, it's a funny one. If it was Amethyst on its own,
Just Amethyst, yeah.
I could see more value because then obviously I can pair it to any deck I want, right? Because yes, I am running illusions, right, in my
Yeah.
Ruby Amethyst deck.
Yeah.
I would benefit for having this to play the
Yeah.
cards I have, right? So I could see a bigger benefit, but being dual wing, it's limiting myself more. Obviously, the archetype that benefits more is this one,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
makes sense they associated to that. So that is kind of punishes a little bit my perception of this card, and it's an inkable as well. It does quest for quite a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
and you are benefiting from applying the questing
Yeah,
focus,
yeah,
right? So you're
exactly.
getting a lot and you're getting a result out of it, right?
If he survives and you have an illusion character in your hand, then it's very, it's going to be a huge play, a huge tempo play if you're able to
But
get
if
them
you
in
don't
for
have
free.
an illusion, you're still questing
But
for
if,
3, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to put him
High C.
high C.
Yeah,
I
so.
think just because it's kind of quite limited by which deck it can go into. So let
Yeah.
me shuffle some things around.
So I think it's better than Donald Duck.
Let's go on to the next one, which is going to be Into the Unknown, an Amethyst Sapphire 3-cost inkable song. Put chosen exerted character into their player's ink while face down and exerted.
Yeah, I love this card.
This, yeah, very interesting card. So, of course, right now in Sapphire, in Amethyst Sapphire, a lot of decks are running Let It Go, 5-cost inkable song. This is a cheaper version of that with the condition that you do need an exerted character in play. But we know there are many ways in Amethyst to exert characters. It's also something, even if you don't have the ability to exert characters, then your opponent almost has to play around it, because at any point you could sing this song.
They'll be in danger if they do anything and exert the character. So in a way, you're gonna likely be able to hit the target anyway.
I think so, yeah. It's great. Like, it takes out bodyguards if they're protecting characters. Like, it's taking out something like a Chempo. I know a lot of people were saying you could like do Popsicle on one, play Bell, and then play this immediately. But I really think this is more of a late game card. I think the advantage of it is you can sing it with your Madam Mim Foxes. You can sing it with your bells, but I think later in the game when you just want to be controlling your opponent's board a little bit, I think just having access to 8 songs that can remove your opponent's characters easily. Like, if your opponent's playing a Mickey Mouse bodyguard and you want to get rid of them, then this is going to be a good way to do it.
because it has to be banished, right?
So
to execute their
yeah,
ability.
so I do think this is actually a pretty good one.
Yes.
3-cost inkable removal song, pretty good indeed. So
think it's
I would say probably top of the A tier
Yeah,
right
I
now.
agree.
So yeah, I do like this one. Not much else to say. I think a lot of people like it as well. A card probably that Matthias is the most excited Lorcana player for. Queen of Hearts, Haughty Monarch, 4-cost Inkable, 2/3 questing for 3, with the ability count off when there are 5 or more characters with damage in play. This character gets +3 lore, so a 6 quester.
So it's worth saying, I said that in the other video as well. It's so easy if you're playing that specific archetype.
Yeah.
That very specific archetype. It's so easy to get to a condition where you have 5 or more characters because it counts you as well. It's not just the opponent.
You, right? All of your characters, all of your opponents.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a hard and she'll be a 6 quester.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's so weak. Obviously, it's so easy to remove her.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's almost like you're gonna quest for 6 and that's it.
Yeah.
If that, right?
Yeah, if she survives long enough, yeah.
And it's very specific for that deck, I think.
It is
extremely specific. So that automatically puts her on C.
Yeah.
But for me, out of when I'm thinking on fun decks and not meta decks, that's the most exciting card for me in this set.
She's like the Perdita. She's like my Perdita.
Yeah,
Is your
it's
Queen
my
of
Queen of
Hearts.
Hearts,
So,
exactly.
Yeah, if anyone, we did at the Alice deck, right, and it absolutely shredded the deck I was playing, the Madrigal deck, because of all that damage. And watch that gameplay video, because yes, there's a lot of characters on board, a lot of damage on them.
And I'm just obsessed that Ravensburg is really supporting that archetype.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's really nice.
It's really fun. Like, I know a lot of people play maybe more meta decks, but I would encourage you to try out some of the dual ink theme decks, like the Puppy deck. So fun. Queen of Hearts deck, super fun, but yeah.
And it takes people by surprise, right? Even in the league, they were all playing like meta decks. I brought the Queen of Hearts. They had to really sweat and think about it. They still won, obviously, but it took them some hard work, But so where she goes? So she's C. I think she is on the.
I think she's alongside Perdita.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll put her above Perdita just because
I think she's under Perdita.
No, but I could see like an Emerald Ruby deck running her.
Okay,
like,
well, the other one is very
Perdita, you need to have puppies in your deck, otherwise it's just it's not gonna do things.
But if there wasn't a condition of Perdita, I think Perdita would be better.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's the whole card,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I cannot see the card without the condition, but
so next up in Sapphire Emerald, I always have a hard time remembering the actual ink color names. In green blue, we have Gogo Tamago, Cutting Edge, 4-cost, Uninkable, 3/3, questing for 2. She is a Flood Bomb, but she costs 4 to shift in. It's the first Flood Bomb card that costs the same amount to shift as to play without shifting. She has evasive and has the ability 0 resistance. When you play this character, if you use shift to play her, you may put chosen character into their player's Inkwell face down and exerted. So more removal in this ink color. Really, it is an impactful ability on play. It does require the setup though. You are putting a Gogo into play on the previous turn, and then you're now paying 4 to lose a card. So it is negative card advantage because you're shifting, and then you are putting your opponent's card into the Inkwell, so that's neutral card advantage for them. So it's a funny one.
It's any characters, not just opponent.
Exactly, so you could put your own Tipo into your Inkwell, for instance, which could be a good play. He's kind of useless after you've played him. So I don't know how I feel about this one.
It is hard. Obviously, on the side where you are shifting, you are evasive. You could quest, so you're questing and you're doing that ability. So that's 2 things that are very good for you, right? But if you're not shifting, how impactful she is. I mean, she's still evasive. It might fit the gap that those colors might not have as many evasives.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a way to get that, I think. And obviously, a lot of people are running the other Gogo Tomago anyway in Emerald, right? So
maybe as a game closer, right? You could play the 2-cost Gogo the turn before, get a bunch of lore from your opponent with damage on them. Then you play this Gogo Tomago the next turn. You can quest for 1 extra lore.
Send that card away.
Something away. So
it could work because I almost feel like the other Gogo Tomago, at that point, there isn't much value anyway.
Yeah, she's questing for 1. She's a 2/2.
So this one makes the difference.
So I would say probably, like, obviously the big thing to mention is that Emerald Sapphire, not really the most potent ink pairing. It has got a lot of support over the last 2 sets with all of this Floodborn synergy, but it does require that in combination to be good for this card to be good. So I would probably put her like high B tier.
Yeah? High B tier. Okay.
High B tier. What do you think? Low B tier?
I thought it was, or high C.
Oh no. Okay. Oh no. I know, I think she's higher than C.
She has to be higher than, I'm seeing the cards you're moving. She has to be higher. I don't think she's higher than Flynn.
Okay. Okay, I will agree with that. I was gonna say she's not higher than Lilo because Lilo's for free.
Yeah.
So yeah. And we're going to go over next to Maui Stubborn Trickster. 6-cost Inkable, 4/4 questing for 3 with the ability I'm not finished yet. When this character is banished, choose 1. Put 2 damage counters on all opposing characters, banish all opposing items, and banish, or banish, that's important, banish all opposing locations. What do you think about this one?
My brain just splashed around.
Yeah.
So you do one of those, right? When it comes,
You have
so
to
it is-
pick, exactly. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I think people were very excited, right? When they saw this card. It's very late.
It is very late, yeah. But I do think this is a very good card because
It gives you so many options, right? To remove the threat you currently have.
exactly. And it's something your opponent really, really has to play around. So if you drop a Maui and they have, a wide board of characters, or they have a load of locations, or they have a load of items, then they have to make that decision. Do I remove Maui, sacrifice all of those cards that I have, or do I just let him quest for 3? Because he is going to quest for a lot. So it's also when it's banished on your turn, so you do have a little bit more control. But like, for instance, if your opponent's just played 2 Mukduk Manas, you could follow up with a Maui, and then your opponent has to decide, do I want to risk getting rid of my Mukduk Manas, or do I just let Maui quest and hope for the best? So I do like him in that. I think he's really good. I think he slots so well into Emerald Steel. We do have Emerald Steel damage builds with Chief Bogo that are seeing play. We do have an Emerald Steel discard, which I think could benefit from a card like this. So I do think...
I think he's A.
I would definitely agree. I think... Where would he fit? I'm
in between.
He's better than Goofy, I would say.
Yeah, I'm in between Goofy or Namari, or even above Namari.
I think
people will use more him than Namari.
Yeah, I think he feels a little bit similar to Pete, the pirate from the previous set in Emerald Steel. I think this is a good card for them to get. Next up, we have a Lumiere fired up, 5-cost inkable, 4/3, questing for 2, Floodborn, so he'll shift in at 2. Evasive, he'll shift in for 3. Thank you, Metas. Evasive, so he doesn't have ward, that's important to say. And he has the ability Sacré Bleu. Whenever one of your items is banished, this character gets +1 law this turn. So I do quite like this one. I think this is one of the stronger dual-in cards this set.
He was a beast when he had ward. So he had ward for less than 24 hours. The community went ballistic and bought loads of other cards to support this archetype. But even without the ward, he just fits, right? If you're still running that deck that is based on items, he still fits.
I think if he had ward, he would have been absolutely broken. I think Ruby Sapphire doesn't need a game closer, but this is definitely a game closer. The fact that he can shift, so your opponent then has to watch out for that shift target Lumiere. There are a couple already in Ruby that you can use. But yeah, if you're able to shift him and then do this ability, I think you could be luring for quite a lot. Of course, in Sapphire, you have lots of ways to recur your items. And yeah, there are, as Matteo said, there are other cards, things like Royal Tantrum, which already synergize with this. So Royal Tantrum, you can banish as many items as you want, and you can draw a card for each one of those, which are then going to power up Lumiere. And you can also banish items with Belle when you play her. So lots of really good ways. I understand why they banned Hiram.
I know, right?
Because this with Hiram would have been incredibly crazy.
I'm just thinking here, like, okay, so when we go back to Trump,
yeah,
right? Is the main difference because this one you only see slotting that one archetype of the deck, or like is he as S? I think that's the first question.
I don't,
because you put Trump at S.
I did put Trump at S. I'm gonna have to defend that for the rest of this.
No. I'm just trying to understand. Is he worse than that?
I don't think he's S tier.
Okay.
I think Tramp is something that like fits a weakness of the deck.
Yeah.
It's something that the deck needed and it got. And it's a card that your opponent really has to be prepared for to deal with. Lumiere, yes, your opponent will need to deal with him, but he's easier to deal with, I would say, as a 4/3.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
more of a game closer.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But I can definitely see him being a meta warper. I think Ruby Sapphire item decks are starting to come back even without Hiram. They do run a lot of items, so I think you could easily be questing for 5-6 with Lumiere. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he is S tier. I think
that's what I'm trying to understand. Because if we look at what we have at A as well,
if he had ward, he would be like
he'll be
top of S tier. But
so I don't know. Like, is he higher? Is he A? Is he a higher A?
Oh,
he's
definitely he's definitely A.
Is he bigger than the song? What's the name?
For me, I think he goes between Into the Unknown and Ratigan. I think like high A tier.
But that's what I think as well. Yeah. It's just I cannot not compare with Trump, right?
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because I cannot say the name. I cannot pronounce for nothing his name, but I mean the dog, the handsome dog. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think it's high A.
Yeah, so I think probably between these two.
Because I almost feel like he will come as a bomb as soon as that item profile comes back in full force.
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
He's gonna be that card that item profile are back. This is gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting as well.
Yeah.
Is this our last card?
No, I think we have Sapphire Steel cards to look at, right?
Okay.
Sapphire Steel is the last ink pairing.
Okay.
So we do have Mulan charging ahead. 4-cost an inkable 3/3. She's reckless. She has burst of speed. During your turn, this character gains evasive and long range. This character can challenge ready cards. Characters.
Yeah.
Ready, yeah. That's all she would want to challenge. An interesting one that I don't know how good it is. Like, as a 4-cost and inkable, she doesn't quest. Being able to challenge ready characters is good. But the fact that she's reckless is your opponent can play around that, right? They can play a character that's going to survive Mulan, and then she's going to have to challenge into them. Maybe in Ruby Steel, you can have her sing some songs instead if you didn't want to sacrifice her that way. But I'm just not sure about this one.
It is tricky, but yeah, she's there just to challenge. That's what she's doing, right?
Yeah.
Because she can even challenge the evasive people in her turn. She can challenge ready characters. She can do everything.
Yeah.
I do like as a solution though, because there are moments that you're lacking that. She's literally if I need something to be challenged, she's there.
Yeah.
She can do that.
If you give her rush, I think it could be good. Like if you do it with like Vitalist Sphere
and the new Mushus.
Yeah,
right?
the new Mushus. Yeah.
It works really well for the color combination. She'll likely not survive a lot of those if she's coming turn 4.
But I suppose you're right. If you put her in a deck with Mushu, the Mushu that gives your characters resist to when they challenge might survive multiple turns. But it is kind of a bit of a combo deck, and we know Ruby Steel isn't really the strongest of the ink pairing. So I'm tempted to put her like.
I don't think she's C though. Do you think she's C?
I think she's C. I don't know. I just don't know which what deck do you put her
that's
into.
right,
I would put her probably above the gimmicky cards.
Yeah.
And I suppose maybe here she doesn't draw cards, so. And then now this is the last card, Matthias.
Yes, that's
so
true,
this is Jasmine, Steady Strategist, 4-cost, inkable, 2/5, questing for 1, Floodborn. She shifts in at 2, and has the ability always planning. Whenever this character quests, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal an ally card, a character card, and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So
I like cards. Yeah, you're gonna hit that.
You're probably I think definitely you can build around a card like this. There's a lot of really good allies in Steel, a lot of synergy with allies in this ink color combination. So I do think that is a decent one. Yeah.
For shifting 2, right? It's such a good stats at 2. It's just, would you play at 2? Do you have a Jasmine that you were playing at 1?
Yes, there's the new Jasmine that plays a 1. No, but
so many exists.
You would play her to play this one. Yeah.
I don't know. Would you just try putting that one just to play this one? But maybe.
I think you build around it. I think if like right now we don't have a deck heavily all in on allies, but there are a lot of cards supporting that archetype now. So definitely you might want to consider doing a deck based build around Jasmine. So I would be comfortable putting her like maybe low B tier just because there isn't a deck for her right now. What do you think?
I thought she was C. I just don't. I'm not convinced.
I think like for
I'm
instance,
not convinced people use. I'm not saying it's a bad card.
Yeah, but Blue Steel aggro, it could benefit from some card draw, and this is essentially card draw if you're able to hit an ally consistently. In the top 3 cards, it's kind of suggesting you would want to run about 40 ally cards in your deck in order to be consistently drawing. Which
and are they doing that already?
I think it's possible. Like in like Sapphire Steel aggro list at the moment, like you could definitely structure it in a way to get those allies. Like we've got the Miss Bianca who cares about allies as well, so that's another card you could build. She herself isn't an ally though, but so there is a little bit of synergy there you could be looking for. But maybe that's the limiting factor. Do you have enough allies in the deck to make this?
Because you're literally doing that for this card.
At
that point, you're literally building a whole deck.
Well, no, I think you build a deck around those cards that do synergize with allies, and there are a few. I don't think it's going to be a meta-breaking card for sure, but I do think it's kind of it's not as niche as I would say the other C tier cards are. So I'd be tempted to put her up here.
Such as the bottom.
Yeah, I think she might be the bottom of this tier.
Okay, so I think with the magic of post-production, we're going to tidy up all of this for you so we can talk about 1 more minute.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much our tier list. Okay, so we're back again, and this is more organized, I think.
Yeah, it looks a lot better like this, right? Rather than loads of cards overlapping each other. But yeah, it's really interesting to reflect on it. I think we did say there were a lot of powerful cards this set. I think, as always, they tend to be the rares and below that are the most powerful. But really, nothing stands out as being too super crazy as like some of the previous sets. But I think there are a really good mixture of cards that
that's
could
what
be
I was
played.
thinking.
Yeah.
I think Arcasia's Island was experimentation, if I may,
Yeah.
about the dual wing approach.
Yeah.
I think Reign of Jafar is really nailing that more. Archetypes are way more clear now, and I think they are stronger, and the things that were lacking is coming in now. So actually, I'm very, very excited with the majority of the dual wing, which wasn't the case in the previous video. Remember, all the dual wings were going all the way down. And then finally, when it comes to the legendaries, I think it's kind of the same. We're getting a lot of hit or miss.
Yeah,
there's some colors really needing that push, at least in our opinion, right? So
there were no legendaries I look at this set and think that's going to be the chase legendary that really like
that makes the money, like the cost of a tomato or the cost of
because I think a lot of them are very interesting. It's just we know that the legendaries that tend to be the most sought after, the ones that draw cards or do something really efficient in terms of removal or something. A lot of these are kind of niche. They require a little bit of setup. You don't really get that immediate impact from a lot of them. So
I don't think that's negative.
I don't think it's negative.
Equally like that, right? If there isn't one color like Tamatoa or Maui Half-Shark, that was really strong,
a lot more powerful
than
the other ones.
So I think that's not bad. I think the only problem is when does it stop being? Why is he a legendary card? You see what I mean? But that's something that's been going on for a while.
They said in terms of their design philosophy that legendary cards are just cards that do something no other card does.
Yeah.
Arguably, some of these legendaries do, but that's
that's another conversation. Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some interesting things in there. It's just, for me, it's crazy. Like when you compare Chief Bogo to a Mufasa Betrayed Leader and just like the difference in those abilities and the difference in power level, it feels like maybe they've kind of like tried to step back in power level a little bit, which I would expect them to push it more. Maybe we'll see that with reprints. They'll throw in some really like crazy broken cards, but I'll be curious to see what impact this has on the metagame as a whole. But for sure, I'm excited for all the theme decks we can play this set.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. Honestly, for us, we said that so many times, right? It's the synergies and the unique gameplay that makes the game fun for us, because we're not as competitive as other people, right?
Yeah, we're finding more and more that playing like the janky, silly decks is what is the most fun part of this game for us.
And I can't wait to use Bumby, right? When I look at Bumby, I really want to use that. There's so many cards here that I really want to actually try out. Right?
Yeah, you built a Hades deck, right? The double dealer who you can banish a character to play a character with the same name for free. So I'm sure you're going to want to try Mickey Mouse out in that deck.
That for sure. And that was on the Gameplay Madness, right? So I won the game. Spoiler alert. So super cool. So of course, that is our tier list. Feel free to leave comments. We love hearing your opinion at the end of the day. I think we can have a healthy communication or conversation based on personal opinions. We are no expert by no means.
Yeah, tell us why we're wrong about Trump.
Exactly. Maybe we're completely wrong, right? Maybe Stitch should be up there because I know people are really believing on Stitch. We could be missing something.
I think the most controversial one is probably Mickey Mouse. I think a lot of people are very high on Mickey Mouse. Yeah. I want him to work, believe me, I do. True. I just think it's something that's going to come with later sets.
But it was the same with the previous Mickey Mouse, the Warrior one. Everyone was like, this can really make the game.
Yeah, and I've never seen anyone
a single person using it, right? But maybe. I'm still hoping for that. And of course, I want Goofy to work. I really want Goofy to work. But I don't even play Umber. So.
Yeah, maybe we'll start just to play Goofy.
Probably.
But yeah, as Matteo said, please let us know your thoughts down in the comments. We love talking about this stuff, and we do reply to every single comment. So we'll definitely be replying to you with our thoughts as well. If you enjoyed this video, please do be sure to give us a like and hit the subscribe button, because as we go into Reign of Jafar, we have so much content planned. I don't know how we're going to get any sleep between our day jobs and the channel, but we're going to do it. We're going to enjoy it, and we hope you'll come along for that ride.
Thank you so much again for Heavy Play for sponsoring this video. And if you want to buy any of the Heavy Play products, go to heavyplay.com or access the link down below. Don't forget to use the discount code Inkborn10 at checkout for your 10% in your order. Yeah, and a shout out as well to our YouTube members. We really appreciate you. If you'd like to become a YouTube member or just want to find out more, you can hit the join button down below and get all of the details. You get early access to videos like this one, which was available early for our members. So thank you so much again for watching. We really appreciate you and your time. And until next time, happy questing. Happy questing.